I'm Akash, and this is your News of the Week for the week of August 15th to August 21st, 2021. Let's take a look at the stories that we have for you this week. And we begin with what is one of the most important stories that we've seen in quite a while. And it is that the Taliban have taken full control of Afghanistan as fear and chaos spread throughout the country. We'll talk more about this in just a moment, but first let's take a look at some of the other headlines that we have for you this week. Like, for example, COVID-19 is attacking all of America with the third wave of coronavirus. Next, a Haiti earthquake, which is more dangerous than the 2010 earthquake, has actually gotten 2,000 deaths. And that's just an estimate. We might see more of these cases coming in soon, and that is quite dangerous. Now, the next one I want to talk about is the fact that the host of Jeopardy, the new host of Jeopardy, has actually been sacked, and he stepped down from his position because of new scandalous reports that have been revealed. And finally, Elon Musk is building a humanoid robot by the name of the Tesla bot. It's quite interesting, and I'll talk about it in a bit. But first, let's take a look at each of these stories in further detail. And we begin with the fact that the Taliban, the radical Islamic group that once controlled almost all of Afghanistan back in the 5 years between 1996 and 2001, now they're back, and they have been taking control of all of Afghanistan. That's it, that is, except one small bit called the Panjshir Valley, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in the end. But first, how does this work? How did we get here? Well, the thing is, you may know that after the 9/11 attacks, the United States figured that there was only one place that the leader of Al-Qaeda, who masterminded the attacks, Osama bin Laden, could possibly be. It would be in the one country that supports him, Afghanistan, which at the time was under the control of the Taliban, as it had been for nearly 5 years. So, the United States sent them an ultimatum. Either tell America where Osama bin Laden is, or we'll make them tell where Osama bin Laden is. Of course, the Taliban chose the second option, and therefore were immediately pwned by America and its allies. Pretty much, we invaded right back, and sure enough, democracy was restored. Just 3 years later, the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan was formed. The thing is, the Taliban didn't stop there. They just continued as an insurgency. And the insurgency continued to fight and fight and fight. It wasn't that easy to restore democracy, and there were still some parts of the country which the Taliban took control of. But more or less, for quite a long time, we were in the lead. That is, until 2020. Just last year, President Trump signed a deal with the Taliban, which pretty much said, all right, we'll just leave out of this place. So we were going to step out of the war in Afghanistan, given it's become the longest war in American history and in recent times. So, given the situation now, the Taliban realizes what an opportunity it's created for himself and decides to go on the offense. So after President Biden took office, he also honored this agreement that his predecessor signed. So the only difference was that the date was pushed back to September of this year. So the Taliban, figuring that without the United States and its allies, Afghanistan would succumb pretty quickly. So the Taliban went on the offensive, beginning by taking districts, and that increased to provinces. Eventually they took over Kandahar, which was the second largest city in Afghanistan, and well, you can see where this is going. It's only one step away from taking Kabul, the capital of Afghanistan, and pretty much taking control of all of the country. All they had to do was just make an assault for the capital, which they did on August 15th, 2021, 3 days after their attack on Kandahar. They went for the assault on Kabul, and they pulled it off successfully. Not that many casualties in the end, however, as the president of Afghanistan, Ashraf Ghani, just fled the country because he said he wanted to avoid bloodshed, pretty much knowing that if he stayed, the Taliban would probably assassinate him. So that is pretty much what's been going on right now. As a result of everything that's been happening right now, it's very heartbreaking to see things like this that are happening now. It's very dangerous, and we'll talk more about some of the scary things that have been going on as a result of the situation with the Taliban. But first, I want to talk about the fact that the United States and its NATO allies, and also countries like India, we've all just pulled right out and just left our embassies to it. So all we did was just evacuate and airlift off all of our diplomats from the embassies, pretty much knowing that the Taliban is probably going to take over the buildings. So that's exactly what we did, airlifting everyone out of the place and using helicopters on the top of the embassy roof. We did that. The thing is, that scene is eerily similar to the similar scenes that were there at the fall of Saigon at the end of the Vietnam War in 1975, with the exact same thing. Just the embassy building and the leaders and the diplomats, all of them taking on and flying out on a helicopter back to America and away from the fall of South Vietnam during the Vietnam War. Now, the thing is, that was quite dangerous, and sure enough, this is too. Even President Biden, President Biden said that this isn't Vietnam, and you're not going to see, I don't know, people going on a helicopter and flying off the roof of the embassy. Well, that's exactly what we saw. So, well, things are very bad. Plus, it was a very heartbreaking moment that unfolded at the Hamid Karzai International Airport in Kabul, which is one of the few places that the United States and NATO still control. Although, to be honest, they'll probably be handed over to the Taliban in about a month or so, because the deadline was September 11th, 2021, the 20th anniversary of the September 11th attacks, which kick-started off this war. So, this is what happened here. As time goes on, the Hamid Karzai International Airport was absolutely flooded with people with fearing Afghans, fearing for their lives, knowing that if the Taliban were to take over Kabul, which they probably would at that point, well, they're doomed. They're pretty much doomed. So they have to do something, and well, the best choice is just get on a plane and get out of there. And so thousands flocked to Hamid Karzai International Airport in Kabul in order to get a hold of a plane. And sometimes it even went so far as to have literally hung on the plane wheels or on the plane wings, just trying to grasp it to get out of Afghanistan. People are willing to do anything to escape the Taliban, but those who couldn't escape, well, they'll pretty much have to adapt. Either they have to get out somehow else and face certain death by the Taliban, or they just have to adapt to living under a giant iron fist ready to punch them at any time. That is literally what the Taliban is as a result. This is what has happened. The fact that it's like this is devastating, what's happened so far. President Biden has defended the withdrawal of U.S. military from the Afghanistan, as we've sent hundreds of thousands. This war lasted for years, and we've lost thousands in this war, the longest war of recent times. So as we pulled out, well, it turned out it would be a very, very botched job. And although President Biden defended it, he also said that we'd be evacuating all of the American personnel and all the American citizens from Afghanistan, and also we'd be we'll be taking back 150,000 Afghans who helped with America during the war in Afghanistan. So that right there is what Afghanistan looks like right now. But I mean, my God, it is very, very scary. What is happening in Afghanistan should never happen anywhere. The fact that we're lost in the longest war in American history, we've spent so long into this, only for the Taliban to entirely sweep the place, well then, that's horrible. But in the midst of all this depressive mood, there is still one small beam of hope, a beam of light that maybe, just maybe, we could do something about this. And it lies in the one part of Afghanistan the Taliban dare not touch, the Panjshir Valley. The Panjshir Valley is pretty much, it means 5 lions. And actually, this is a very hilly, mountainous area that's part of the Hindu Kush Mountains. Sure enough, it's actually 50 miles north of Kabul. And, well, this is the last place the Taliban has to go to. And sure enough, they haven't yet. Even as they've taken over Kabul, they are not going there. Meanwhile, a resistance against the Taliban is being founded there. It's called the National Resistance Front of Afghanistan, more popularly known as the Panjshir Resistance, or the Second Resistance. It's called the Second Resistance because the first one was the anti-Taliban Northern Alliance from 1996 to 2001. Now, the fact that things like this is happening now, that means there might still be hope. That maybe, just maybe, we could do something about this, and that we could do this. Now, headed by former Vice President of Afghanistan, Amrullah Saleh, the Second Resistance is armed and ready to do anything and everything it takes to take Afghanistan back, as they've already taken back one district capital, probably the Panjshir province capital as well, and they are on their way. This is going to be pretty interesting, and I hope that the Second Resistance does it right, because that way, hopefully, peace and democracy will be restored to Afghanistan once and for all. Now, the next story I want to talk about actually relates to COVID-19. COVID-19, ladies and gentlemen, has been attacking all of America with a third wave, and pretty much all of the world. To be honest, at this point, man, is this horrible. It's now almost 200,000 cases just yesterday, and every day since the beginning of this month has been 100,000 cases per day, no gap. 100,000, 100,000, 100,000, all the way through. Things are dangerous as all heck. So what's happening here is that, well, with the Delta variant, it's showing no difference to, regardless of age, it doesn't matter. Even if you're an infant or a senior, it doesn't matter. Everyone's getting affected with the same level of COVID-19, really. This Delta variant is very dangerous. It's very contagious as well. And so what's going on here? Well, it's a very bad timing because school has literally just started a week ago, and sure enough, the COVID-19 cases in children have risen. Well, the fact that they are now rising rapidly and that they've risen is very dangerous. Plus, it might even seem that the Lambda variant of COVID-19 is entirely resistant to vaccines whatsoever. And even the governor of Texas, who has already been vaccinated, has still also gotten COVID-19. So the fact that things like this are happening is so dangerous. God help my country, and God help the world at large. This is very dangerous, and I hope that COVID-19 will come to an end. Now, the next topic that I want to talk about relates to the fact that there is an even stronger earthquake in Haiti. Remember back in 2010, when the 2010 Haitian earthquake, a 7.0 on the Richter scale, pretty much devastated all of Haiti. Now, it's 7.2 on the Richter scale. It's killed almost 2,000, 12,000 injured. And that's just an estimate. We don't know how many have really been killed or injured just yet. Counts are currently being made. And for all we know, even this could be inaccurate. Things could go very out of hand. The fact that Haiti is still recovering from the 2010 earthquake, which practically destroyed half of its economy, plus the fact that Haiti's president, Jovenel Moise, was assassinated not that long ago, now means that the country is very much economically struggling now, and this adds on a new burden to Haiti. Plus, the fact that these hospitals now are desperately trying to save people in the face of this. And the thing is, these hospitals are also coming under the attack of armed gangs throughout the area, which is shocking. That one would want to attack a hospital for no apparent reason, but this is what these gangs are doing, and that is horrible. Lives are going to have to be saved. And then, as this is happening, the fact that Haiti has two burdens on it, and then a third burden, and now a fourth burden on it, and my gosh, is Haiti in such a horrible condition right now, and I hope that Haiti can ascend to a more higher level and that things will eventually go all right. The fact that Haiti is pulling through this no matter what is wonderful and an inspiration to other countries who may as well be struck by situations like this to just keep on pushing no matter what and make it to the end, because at the end there will be light at the end of the tunnel, and Haiti is a great example of that currently in progress. Now, the next one I want to talk about relates to America's favorite game show, Jeopardy. I've always loved Jeopardy. It's a great show, and it's also why I know the brand Leave, because Jeopardy advertises Leave on part of their shows. Now, more importantly than that, in 2020, the beloved host of Jeopardy, Alex Trebek, sadly passed away of pancreatic cancer. And so the search was on to find the next host of Jeopardy. A series of guest host presenters followed thereafter. And eventually, Jeopardy's executive producer, Mike Richards, was selected to host the show. The thing is, he was probably just selected by himself to run the show. And, well then, that is slightly awkward. And so he came under a lot of scrutiny for that. But, okay, I guess we can leave him up to that. He can host for a little while. But then it was revealed that he had made some very bad comments about women back in 2013. And that means that, well, yeah, that's not good at all. So there's no wonder that eventually Mike Richards had decided to step down from his position as the host of Jeopardy. And so what he's decided to do now is just keep on being the executive producer of the show, and just have a new range of guest host presenters to continue hosting the show until a new presenter of Jeopardy will be picked. I mean, to be honest, no matter what, it's very hard to emulate Alex Trebek, because he made the show. What makes him such a great presenter is that he made the show about the contestants and about the game. It's the show, it's art for the sake of art. It's ars gratia artis, if I have the Latin phrase right, or la pour la in French. That's what it is, and that's why Alex Trebek was such a great presenter. And so, as something like this is going on, now it's currently on the search to find someone who can emulate that and be able to host Jeopardy in that same way. It's going to be hard, but it'll be cool once we find it. And that is Jeopardy. Now, let's take a look at the last story that we have for you this week, and it relates to none other than everyone's favorite entrepreneur, Elon Musk. So Elon Musk has recently announced something called the Tesla bot, which is pretty much a humanoid robot that is meant to do menial tasks, like, for example, going to get the groceries and buy them from the store. That's pretty much what the Tesla bot is going to be doing. So Elon Musk announced this at the Tesla AI conference on August 19th, and I think it's pretty cool. this idea. Although, to be honest, it's a little awkward. I mean, how the heck is this supposed to work? Like, the thing just walks all the way there. Its top speed is like 5 miles an hour, which I mean, like, it can be outrunnable and outpowerable. That's what Elon Musk said. It's supposed to be that way. Otherwise, it will take over the entire world. I'm kidding. But you get the point. That's how the Tesla bot's meant to work. I mean, off the bat, I can come up with a few suggestions for how we can make this. And I mean, but by all means, this is entirely unsolicited. But you get the point that maybe you could do something, you know, like have the Tesla bot go in a Tesla car, like, I don't know, a Tesla Model 3 or something. And then you can add a deal on that to make your Tesla bot go quicker. Because Tesla cars have autopilots on them, which is super cool. Now, more than that, Tesla has done some pretty cool things, and you might also have, like, I don't know, a new competitor to, like, Amazon's Whole Foods is I don't know, Tesla Foods, and just have a grocery store. You just select the items that you want, and then Tesla Bot will go bring it for you. Man, this is, I'm just coming up with the several ideas, again, entirely unsolicited, but Elon Musk has been planning on doing things like this. He finds it pretty fascinating, and so, to be honest, modern day business is truly all about innovations. It's what's going to come next in the future. There are very few visionaries who can actually, like, accurately predict what might happen. Like, what do you think about happening in the future? Like Bill Gates, which in his book The Road Ahead talks about a sort of pocket, a pocket wallet, or wallet PC. That's the term he gave it, for which would later pretty much become what you'd call the phone nowadays. So there are very few people who can actually, like, come up with ideas for how to see the future. And Elon Musk is one of them. So, despite what is happening here and the amount of ridiculousness this may seem, as a lot of people are kind of doubting how this is supposed to work, but Elon Musk is hoping that things are going to get ready as he plans for a full prototype to be unveiled by 2022, and the thing to actually be unveiled and go out to the public a few years later. So that is the Tesla bot for you. Pretty interesting, and I would be super excited for that. And that is all of your news of the week for the week of August 15th to August 21st, 2021. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Akasha Cody, and I'll see you in another news of the week. Goodbye.